Welcome everyone to the 18th Annual Tallgrass Film Festival. Thank you sponsors and thank you to our viewers who are joining us virtually. If you are enjoying yourself, let everyone know on Facebook and Instagram and tag us at Tallgrass Film and hashtag Tallgrass 2020. Welcome Meta Director Sydney Horton.
Hello, it's so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Tell us a bit about yourself.
I am a young aspiring director. Meta is my most recent film that's going through festival circuits. I am currently working on directing a feature documentary. I have a music video coming up, and I have a horror short film in 2021 I'll be doing.
Wow, busy. That's fun.
Yeah, trying to do as much as we can, right? Stay a little sane.
Exactly. Okay, so you're talking like right now about all your different film experiences kind of thing. How was directing Meta different from all those other ones?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Meta to me is always going to have a special place in my heart. It is such a important story, I think, when it comes to what the message of the film really is at a whole, which we're discussing the importance of identity and just how everybody has their own insecurities. They're trying to overcome something. And at the end of the day, we all want to be accepted for anything that makes us anxious or we feel self-conscious about. And when it comes to this film, it's really about our lead Artie, who is a transgender person who transitioned to become a male, and he's nominated for prom king. And he has insecurities about why did his classmates do that? It has to be a joke. And he really ties into so much anxiety that he has from society through that. And for all of us on the team, my writer is transgender. So this was kind of their story to coming out with it. But for all of us on the team that then helped make it, we kind of bonded over our own anxieties and insecurities and what we went through maybe in high school or middle school and what we kind of personally beat ourselves up for when we didn't need to. Other people weren't as judgy. So Meta for me is different because it is so personal for everybody that was involved, but in their own way. And I think it's just a message that needs to be out there because we don't have enough positive trans stories. And we need more, especially in general, LGBT content out there that's, over or transcends past like your stereotypical, like my storyline is just that I'm gay, like we need like there's depth to each character.
So how did you like extend, like you're saying, just like the stereotypical kind of thing of just like extending it to that depth that you feel like these like characters are like people you would know kind of thing?
No, totally. So when it comes to our lead, Artie, he's nominated for prom court, but it's different for him because once again, he transitioned. So he wasn't always considered male, but he's always felt male. And because of just how people sometimes approach that, whether they're not educated enough or just have such a negative connotation, he carries that weight. And so for him, he's taking what we see in high school and going into prom court and facing things that we don't think about. When you're transitioning, you can get your period, and that's something that's not discussed. And so for him to, on one of the nights that he's most anxious, to get his period and have to face that when you're already an anxious person in high school. Like if you were not, you can't tell me no one was like, I'm never anxious in school. Like, I don't care if you were the most popular person, you had an anxiety. So for him, it's really that he's facing so much. And when it comes to his best friend, Lucy, I think she's just this incredible, quirky girl, but so quirky that she doesn't care what's going on. She's such a loyal friend. She's there for, her friend through everything. And that's when we were creating our Lucy and casting our Lucy, I really wanted somebody that was bold, a little weird, a little quirky, but knew what she was and owned it. And I think when it came to casting that, I was looking for somebody that I wished I could have been in high school. So I hope that answers that question.
That was actually one of my other questions was like, how did you choose these amazing actors?
Oh my gosh. Well, we held a casting call for a while. We put out as much as we could. And our main goal with this piece was our lead Artie has to be transgender. We refuse to do a story written by a trans person about a trans person and not have our lead be trans. So we had a lot of great people come in, but when Jordan, who we ended up casting, walked in, it was like the moment he stepped in, me and the writer were like, oh my gosh, please let his performance be great, because this is what we're looking for. Because he still has like this young boyish charm. He looks so innocent. And to me, it was believable. Like, this is a high school student. And he plays just like the insecurity so well. So for him, that was just a huge excitement. And I remember who we ended up casting as Lucy. She had just auditioned right before him. And we had made the mistake of not asking her to stay to potentially do a chemistry read. So she came in, she did hers, and we're like, yeah, she's pretty good. Like, we'll see. He comes in, and we were like, wait, we need to see if these two work right now. We're calling her. She didn't answer until it was too late. And I mean, post that, I was like, guys, I think we know who they need to be. We're going to make the chemistry work. And the chemistry, we didn't even have to work on it. It was there.
That is literally amazing. I love how she came before him. That's amazing.
I know, and we were like, wait, Tess, please come back. Like, we think we have the like cast now.
Right. So this obviously is a high school story. So how did you perfectly, like, especially with like the lighting and just like the overall mood, it just feels like a high school kind of vibe.
Right.
How did you pull that off? Or how did you come up with that?
I mean, we really did, me and the DP and our lighting crew, we really took a lot of time to think about the style we wanted. So we pulled from like the classic Carrie, obviously, and playing with those lighting hues. But then also we had just finished binging Euphoria, and we loved the lighting in that show. And so I kept being like, if we could have this Euphoria lighting, I would be so happy. So we really went that route with that. And then our production designer was incredible. And I had told her, I was like, I need this to be like an 80s-esque prom theme. I really want our costumes to be fun. So that's why we have our lead in a blue suit. Me and my costume designer were so excited about that. I was like, if we can get a blue suit, this would be incredible. And he rocked it. Jordan looked so good in it. So we still have that piece, because we were just like, this is such a great thing to keep from the film. But really, when it came down to it, we just wanted to be a prom that you don't overlook, not like a modern prom, but, oh, this one's fun and they're having a good time. And stylistically, this feels like a fun prom setting. And oddly enough, it was really great because a lot of our background actors after were coming up to us and, saying this was more exciting than my own prom. And they're like taking photos, and it became kind of like an Instagram social hub. I'm like, this is great. That's a good sign.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, just to hang out on set, like prom 2.0 kind of thing.
Right.
So what kind of movies or like films did you like or have seen that you really liked? And how did you translate what you liked in other ones into this one?
So I've worked with my writer before, and we have a very similar taste. We love, when it comes down to favorite films, we're always kind of attracted to psychological thrillers or horror, even campy horror. But when it came to this story and being able to play with a psychological self versus self battle, because when it comes down to it, like we said, this is a story about identity, and really we're going into Artie's head and seeing him kind of fight with his own insecurities. So one film that we really admire that does that is Black Swan. So we really tried to pay some homage to Black Swan with our mirror scene in the bathroom, and really into his own, like, trickling down into the stall and just really feeling at his all-time low. And he's like transformed into, in his mind, this monster, but nobody sees him as that. They just see him as, like, Artie, why does he seem a little down right now? And not like, oh my gosh, he is this horrible being. How could he betray us? Like, all of that. So we really pulled a lot from Black Swan. And when he's walking through the crowd, we really liked how in Birdman, there was a lot of shots where the camera was on Michael Keaton just walking through crowds. So we were inspired to do that. That way we felt like we were really going through it and going through the crowd, rather than just having such a stable, static shot of people walking through. I think those were our biggest pulls. And obviously Carrie, because a prom setting, you can't do a prom setting that has like a horror vibe to it and not at least acknowledge Carrie as such a classic film.
Really is. Oh my gosh. And then You were talking about how like everyone in like the team could relate to it in some way. How did you relate to it?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I still struggle with anxiety, but I was seriously such an anxious high schooler. I was really quiet, really reserved. I had my friends and I really stuck to those people, but I had horrible social anxiety. I really felt like people were judging me at all times because I still suffer a little bit with acne, but I just felt like, oh my gosh, I'm just like this monster in itself too. Like, why can't I look like what TV shows as like the really pretty girls? So that was like for me when I would discuss, especially with our composer, like the emotion I want to emote for the music. If we were just to have the music separate, I want us to feel like we're going through a panic attack.
Mhm.
Um,
That was
I was
literally
like,
one
I
of
want.
I really noticed. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is literally when I was watching it, because I've experienced panic attacks as well. I was like, this is literally what it feels like, kind of thing.
Yes, that's like it. The composer was masterful in the sense of we sat down, we got personal. We were like, what makes you feel anxious? And we just like a whole night we were eating, I think, crepes at a restaurant out here, and just like, all right, this makes me anxious. This makes you anxious. What do we hear in our head when we are at those lows? And he managed to, until we got it perfect, like dig into this is what it sounds like when I'm like starting this like freak out and going through it and then coming down and realizing, okay, like I'm okay, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. And then what about, or like if there's a specific thing that when you watch it, you're like, that was good. Like, what did you think was like that?
Oh man, that's hard because there was so much that was fun with this. In general, too, I like to when we had started filming that, I had never worked with that many actors on set before. So it was really cool to have an entire dance floor of prom goers, and get everybody listening and getting them all to like cheer and dance and all of that. That was fun. But I would say, I guess, the part that gets me every time, and I've seen it thousands of times now, without a doubt, is just the conversation between Lucy and Artie in the bathroom when he's at his low and she's trying to get her bud to come out and go to the prom stage. Like the music for me there hits me hard. Their friendship hits me hard, and him going down and her just like sticking up for him and be like, look, I'm here for you, but you're gonna be okay, and we'll get through this together.
That's literally like when I was watching it, just like having it like back up and you see both of them just talking. It was just like amazing for me at least.
I'm glad to hear that.
And then I know you were talking about this a little bit earlier, but what can we expect from you in the future?
Many more projects. Like I said, I am getting ready to direct a music video for an upcoming artist. So I'm really excited for that. It's going to be our first collaboration and hopefully one of many more. Um, and then I have with one of my dear friends, we're doing a 20-ish minute horror short film in 2021, which will be really fun, really campy. I'm really excited for that. And then, like I said, I just entered the post-production realm of a feature-length documentary. And I'm hoping to then after that write a short film that's been on my mind for a bit.
Awesome. So another question I've been just wondering, like, how did you get into directing and like just the entire production?
No, totally. Honestly, so where I grew up in a Midwestern town in Indiana. And the school system I was in was very much a place where they're like, what are you going to do when you grow up? What are you going to do when you grow up? And we always had to think about it from a young age. And I never wanted to grow up. I was very much like, I love watching TV. I love playing video games. I love just being a kid. And so I started just saying, I'll be a film director, not really thinking like, oh, I'll be a film director, but I'm like, I like watching movies. And I would watch movies over and over to the point where my mom was like, we've seen this 100 times. Like, but then from there, when I turned 11 or 12, my parents gifted me a small little, not great, but handheld camera. And my friends and I would make really bad films. And I was like, wait, this is really fun. And in high school, we had a film class as an elective, got into that. And that's when I was like, you know what? Like, if I have to grow up and do something to survive for the rest of my life, I want to have fun. And I was like, film makes me happy. And if I can find a way to make that my living, I'm gonna do whatever I can. So I went to college and majored in directing. moved out to Los Angeles, and I've been really lucky and grateful to say that I've been working ever since.
That is literally like amazing. Like, good job on you.
Thank you.
So would you like to say anything to our wonderful audience?
Honestly, thank you so much if you've gotten this far for watching our film and listening to this. And I hope that this film resonates with you for anything maybe you've gone through, whether it was high school insecurities or even insecurities later in life. We all go through something. So I hope this can resonate and show you that it can get better.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Okay, bye-bye.